I was making my morning coffee on that ordinary Monday when my phone buzzed with a message that would change everything. Lauren had texted me those devastating words that every person in a relationship dreads hearing. I need a break to figure myself out. No contact, please. I will reach out when I'm ready. I stared at my phone screen, reading those words over and over again, feeling like the ground had just shifted beneath my feet. I thought I was being the perfect supportive girlfriend. Little did I know I was about to learn the hardest lesson about self-respect. Before we dive into this story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below, and do not forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories. Trust me, you will want to stick around to see how this unexpected journey taught me everything about knowing my own worth. Lauren and I had been together for 2.5 years when everything fell apart. We met through a mutual friend at an art gallery opening in downtown Portland on a rainy Thursday evening in March. I was working as a marketing coordinator for a tech startup, and she was a graphic designer at a creative agency. The connection was instant. She had this quiet confidence about her, the way she studied each painting with genuine curiosity, tilting her head slightly when something caught her attention. Our relationship bloomed slowly and beautifully. Weekend camping trips to Mount Hood, lazy Sunday mornings, cooking elaborate brunches together, late-night conversations about our dreams and fears. Lauren had always been more introverted than me, needing space to recharge after social events or stressful periods at work. I respected that about her. I thought I understood her need for solitude, and I prided myself on being the kind of girlfriend who gave her partner room to breathe. But looking back now, I can see the signs I chose to ignore. About a month before that devastating text message, Lauren started becoming distant. Her responses to my good morning texts became shorter, less enthusiastic. She began declining our usual Friday night dinner dates, saying she needed to stay home and rest. When I suggested weekend activities, she would often counter with suggestions that involved staying in or doing separate things. I attributed these changes to the pressure she was under at work. Her agency had landed a major client, and Lauren was leading the rebranding project. She mentioned several times how overwhelming it felt, how she was questioning whether she was creative enough, successful enough, good enough. When she started talking about needing to find herself and gain clarity about her life direction, I thought I was being supportive by encouraging her to take all the time she needed. The morning I received that text message, I was standing in my kitchen wearing my favorite oversized sweater, the one Lauren always said made my eyes look brighter. I had just ground fresh coffee beans, and the rich aroma filled my small apartment. My phone was sitting on the marble countertop when it lit up with her name. My heart did that little skip it always did when I heard from her, even after all those months together. But as I read her words, that warm feeling in my chest turned ice cold. I need a break to figure myself out. No contact, please. I will reach out when I'm ready. I read the message 3 times, then 4, then 5. Each time the words felt more surreal, more impossible. This was not how our story was supposed to go. We had talked about moving in together next year. We had made plans for a summer trip to Europe. My first instinct was to call her immediately to ask what had happened, what I had done wrong, whether we could talk through whatever was troubling her. My finger hovered over her contact name for a long moment before I remembered her specific request for no contact. If Lauren needed space, I would give it to her. I respected her enough to honor her wishes, even though every fiber of my being wanted to fight for our relationship. I called my best friend Maya instead, needing to hear a voice that would make sense of this chaos. Maya listened patiently as I read the message aloud, my voice cracking with each word. She reminded me that sometimes people need to step back to gain perspective, that this might actually strengthen our relationship in the long run. Give her the space she is asking for, Maya advised. Show her you respect her process. She will come back when she is ready. So I did exactly that. The first week of silence was torture. I would reach for my phone countless times throughout the day, wanting to send Lauren a good morning text or share something funny that happened at work. I caught myself saving memes to send her later before remembering that later might not come for weeks or even months. I could see that she was active on Instagram, posting occasional stories, but I resisted the urge to watch them all. I wanted to give her the complete space she had requested. To distract myself, I threw myself into work and rediscovered hobbies I had neglected. I spent that first weekend hiking with Maya instead of lounging around my apartment missing Lauren. I reorganized my bookshelves, finally read that novel I'd been meaning to start for months, and even signed up for a pottery class I'd been considering. I maintained hope that this was just a temporary phase, a necessary pause before we could move forward together stronger than ever. 2 weeks into our break, I was scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break when I saw something that made my blood run cold. Lauren's mother, Mrs. Johnson, had posted a new photo album titled Family Lake Vacation 2024. My finger hesitated over the album, but curiosity won out. I tapped to open it, and there she was. Lauren laughing and glowing in the sunshine, standing next to a tall guy with sandy brown hair and a familiar smile. I knew that face. It took me a moment to place him, but then the recognition hit me like a physical blow. Marcus Thompson. Lauren's high school boyfriend, the one she had dated for 3 years before they went to different colleges and drifted apart. The one she still mentioned occasionally with that nostalgic smile that used to make me feel slightly insecure until I learned to push those feelings aside. I scrolled through more photos, each one feeling like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. There they were at a bonfire, Lauren's head resting on Marcus's shoulder. Another photo showed them kayaking together, both wearing matching life jackets and beaming at the camera. Mrs. Johnson had even commented on one of the photos, writing, "So happy to see Lauren smiling again with dear Marcus. It feels like no time has passed at all." This could not be happening. Lauren was supposed to be at home figuring herself out, gaining clarity about her life and our relationship. Instead, she was on a family vacation with her ex-boyfriend, looking happier than she had seemed with me in months. The betrayal cut deeper than any clean break could have. She had not just asked for space, she had lied to me. I could not resist diving deeper into this devastating discovery. I found Marcus's Instagram profile and scrolled through his recent posts. Sure enough, there were photos from the same lake house vacation. Pictures of the sunset over the water, the group of them around a campfire, and yes, more photos of him and Lauren looking cozy and comfortable together. One photo showed them sharing a hammock, reading books side by side. The caption read, "Some people never change, and that is exactly what makes them perfect." The pieces started falling into place with horrible clarity. Marcus had moved back to Portland recently after spending 5 years working in Seattle. I remembered Lauren mentioning a few months ago that she had run into an old friend from high school, but she had been vague about the details. Now I realized that old friend was Marcus. The timing of Lauren's distant behavior aligned perfectly with when Marcus would have returned to town. I spent that entire lunch break and most of the afternoon in a haze trying to process what I had discovered. Maya found me in the break room at work, staring blankly at my untouched sandwich. When I showed her the photos, her face went through the same sequence of emotions I had experienced. Shock, disbelief, then anger on my behalf. Maya wanted me to confront Lauren immediately to demand an explanation for this deception. But something inside me resisted that impulse. What would confronting Lauren accomplish? She had made her choice clear through her actions, even if she had not been honest about it with her words. I went home that evening feeling hollowed out, like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left only an empty shell. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our last few weeks together, looking for signs I had missed. The worst part was questioning everything. Had our entire relationship been a lie? Was I just a placeholder until Marcus came back into the picture? How long had she been talking to him before asking for our break? The uncertainty was eating me alive, but I still could not bring myself to break the no-contact rule she had established. Some part of me still hoped there was an explanation that would make this all make sense. A few days later, I saw another post that shattered any remaining hope I had been clinging to. Lauren's college friend Jessica had shared a group photo from what was clearly the same lake house gathering. The caption read, "Lauren and Marcus picked up right where they left off. So sweet to see soulmates find their way back to each other." In the photo, Lauren and Marcus were holding hands, looking at each other with the kind of intimate eye contact that spoke of deep history and renewed connection. That was the moment I realized I had been completely fooled. This was not a spontaneous family reunion where Marcus happened to be present. This had been planned. Lauren had asked me for a break specifically so she could explore things with Marcus without technically cheating on me. She had crafted her request so carefully, making it sound like she needed time for self-reflection, when what she really needed was time to test the waters with her first love. After 3 weeks of torturing myself with social media discoveries and sleepless nights, something shifted inside me. I was lying in bed on a Sunday morning staring at the ceiling and replaying the same painful thoughts I had been cycling through for days, when suddenly I felt a clarity I had not experienced since this whole nightmare began. I deserved better than this. I deserved honesty, respect, and a partner who would choose me without needing a break to figure out their feelings. I sat up in bed and reached for my phone, but instead of opening Instagram or checking for messages from Lauren, I texted Maya. "I know what I need to do." I wrote, "Can you come over this afternoon? I have a plan, and I'm going to need your help." Maya arrived 2 hours later with coffee and determination written all over her face. When I told her what I was thinking, her eyes lit up with approval. "Finally," she said, "I have been waiting for you to stop being a doormat and start being the badass woman I know you are. Let us do this." We spent the afternoon methodically gathering every single item Lauren had left in my apartment over the course of our relationship. It was amazing how much of her life had woven itself into mine. Her favorite oversized sweatshirt hanging in my closet, her expensive skincare products lined up on my bathroom counter, the collection of books she had insisted I would love, most of them still unread but bookmarked with her neat handwriting. Her art supplies scattered across my dining table from the nights she worked on freelance projects at my place. Each item told a story of our relationship, but I refused to let myself get sentimental. This was not about anger or revenge. This was about self-respect and creating closure on my own terms. I carefully folded each piece of clothing, wrapped her skincare products in bubble wrap, and packed her books with the same care I would have shown if she were simply moving apartments and I was helping her pack. Maya watched me work with something like awe. "You are handling this like an absolute queen," she said, as I placed Lauren's grandmother's vintage necklace in a small jewelry box. "Even I would be tempted to accidentally lose that necklace after what she did to you." But that was exactly the point. I was not going to let Lauren's deception turn me into someone petty or vindictive. I was going to take the high road, not for her sake, but for mine. I wanted to be able to look back on this moment and feel proud of how I handled myself. I packed everything with care and respect, because that was who I was, regardless of how Lauren had chosen to treat me. The hardest part was writing the note that would accompany her belongings. I went through several drafts before settling on something simple and dignified. "Per your request for space to figure things out, I am returning your belongings. Wishing you clarity on your journey." I signed it simply with my name, no love. No miss you, no hope to hear from you soon. The next morning, I boxed everything up in plain brown shipping boxes and drove to the post office. I had looked up Lauren's parents' address, the house where she had grown up, and apparently where she was staying during her journey of self-discovery. As I handed the packages to the postal worker and paid for expedited shipping, I felt something I had not experienced in weeks. Relief. But I was not done yet. That afternoon, I updated my relationship status on Facebook from "in a relationship" to "single." I did not make a dramatic post about it or delete all our photos together. I simply changed the status and let it speak for itself. I also changed the passwords on the streaming services we had shared, removed Lauren from my Spotify family plan, and took her name off my emergency contact list at work. Each small administrative task felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. I was not erasing Lauren from my life entirely, but I was making it clear that I was no longer holding space for her in my daily existence. If she wanted to figure herself out with Marcus, that was her choice. But she would not be doing it while keeping me on the back burner as a safety net. The weeks that followed were a strange mixture of grief and empowerment. For the first few days after shipping Lauren's belongings, I felt an odd emptiness, like I had been holding my breath for so long that breathing normally felt foreign. But gradually that emptiness was replaced by something I had not expected: freedom. I started saying yes to social invitations I would have previously declined to spend time with Lauren. I accepted an invitation to join my coworkers for trivia night on Thursday evenings. I took up rock climbing with a group Maya had introduced me to. I even went on a weekend trip to the coast with friends, something I had not done without Lauren in years. The pottery class I had signed up for during our break became a sanctuary. There was something deeply therapeutic about working with clay, about creating something beautiful from raw materials. The instructor, a woman named Patricia in her 60s, had a calming presence that made the studio feel like a refuge. Other students in the class began to feel like friends, and I realized how much I had isolated myself in my relationship with Lauren. 6 weeks after Lauren had asked for our break, my phone rang with her name on the caller ID. I stared at it for a long moment, remembering how that sight used to make my heart race with excitement. Now it just felt like an intrusion into the peaceful new life I was building. I almost let it go to voicemail, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hey," Lauren said when I answered, her voice carefully casual. "I am ready to talk now. Can we meet for coffee this week? Maybe Wednesday evening at that place near your apartment." The assumption in her voice that I would simply be available whenever she decided she was ready sparked something fierce inside me. "I appreciate you reaching out," I said, keeping my voice calm and steady. "But I have actually moved on. I wish you the best with Marcus." The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long, I wondered if the call had dropped. "How did you know about Marcus?" She finally asked, her voice smaller, now uncertain. "Wait, what do you mean you have moved on?" I explained about seeing the vacation photos, about realizing she had been dishonest about her reasons for our break. I told her about shipping her belongings to her parents' house and changing my relationship status. With each word, I felt stronger, clearer, more certain that I was making the right choice. It was not like that, Lauren protested weakly. "Marcus was just there because his family has been friends with ours forever. We were not together or anything. I really was trying to figure things out. But even if that had been true, which the photos suggested otherwise, it would not have changed anything." She had asked for no contact and then immediately spent time with another man she had a romantic history with. She had been dishonest about her whereabouts and her intentions. Most importantly, she had left me hanging in emotional limbo while she explored other options. I told her I had sent her things to her parents' house and suggested she take care of herself. Then I hung up the phone and turned it off for the rest of the evening. Maya came over with Thai food, and we watched ridiculous romantic comedies, laughing at plot twists we could see coming from miles away. The months that followed were transformative in ways I could not have imagined when Lauren first asked for our break. I threw myself into therapy, working through not just this breakup, but patterns in my relationships that had allowed me to accept less than I deserved. I learned to recognize the difference between being supportive and being a doormat, between being understanding and being naive. My career flourished when I redirected all that emotional energy into my work projects. I got promoted to senior marketing coordinator and started leading campaigns I had only assisted with before. My confidence grew in professional settings, and I found myself speaking up in meetings and proposing ideas I would have kept to myself in the past. Dating again was scary at first, but when I eventually started seeing someone new, I approached it with completely different standards and expectations. I was clear about my needs and boundaries from the beginning. I asked direct questions and expected honest answers. I'd learned to trust my instincts when something felt off instead of making excuses for concerning behavior. About 6 months after our final phone call, I heard through mutual friends that Lauren had reached out to them asking about me. Apparently, things with Marcus had not worked out the way she had hoped. The spark they had rekindled during that lake vacation had fizzled once they tried to build a real adult relationship. Lauren wanted to know if I might be open to trying again. I considered it for exactly 30 seconds before deciding I was not interested. The woman Lauren had become involved with was confident, successful, and surrounded by people who respected and valued her. I was not the same person who had accepted that devastating breakup text 6 months earlier. I had learned too much about my own worth to settle for someone who saw me as a backup plan. The most important lesson I learned from this entire experience was about closure. I had always believed that closure came from other people, from explanations and apologies and mutual understanding. But real closure comes from within. It comes from making peace with uncertainty, from choosing your own response to difficult situations, and from refusing to let other people's choices define your worth. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is close the door before someone else opens it for you. I closed that door firmly and peacefully, and on the other side, I found a life more authentic and fulfilling than anything I had imagined possible. Trust yourself, respect yourself, and never settle for being someone's backup plan. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between fighting for someone who was not fighting for you or walking away with your dignity intact? Share your story in the comments below. I would love to hear how you handled it. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more real-life experiences about love loss and finding your strength. Do not forget to share this with anyone who might need to hear this message about knowing their worth. Thank you for listening to my journey, and remember that your value does not decrease based on someone's inability to see it. You deserve someone who chooses you every single day without needing a break to figure it out.